He said, "I am here to request memes."
Memes?
Yeah.
Well, you came to the right place. Careful what you ask for. I'll start sending you like 20 memes a day.
All right.
Are these current questions?
Top ones, yes.
No, Facebook's not doing what it says it's going to do.
I would say we can nix the top one.
Okay, I guess I'll just hit the button.
All right, we're getting going.
Not sure what clock Facebook's using, but started ourselves. There we go. All right.
We're just getting up and running, everybody. If you're just joining us, grab a drink, a beer if you're working from home.
Good to know that's an option.
I mean, not like anyone can stop you. Of course, you'll still be subject to the consequences of your actions. All right, well, welcome to the 034 Motorsport weekly live chat. We're doing it on Friday this week because of crazy summer schedule, vacation, kid universe. And I'm doing a lot of traveling this month especially. So this was the only time we could do it. I hope you were able to join us. If you're not joining us, then I guess
You're not here.
you don't even know that this is happening.
I say all kinds of things about you.
As always, this is a Q&A session. You can ask us anything. We're mostly asked questions about 034 Motorsport products and services. We're also happy to talk about anything related to the company, our history, our philosophy. If something bad happened, please let us know so we can talk that over with you. If you like us, please let us know. We always like hearing that. We always appreciate the positive comments about doing this. We're not doing responding to as many update questions because it's just not that interesting. And a lot of times there's really not a good answer. And we take a no BS approach to responding. So we will respond directly. We won't whitewash it. We will hurt feelings if possible. So
If possible,
be
going out of
careful.
our way. All right.
Well, it's usually possible to hurt somebody's feelings. So I've learned to not worry about it too much. All right, so someone's asking, hi, regarding adjustable upper control arms for the B9 platform, you mentioned that clearance is needed to achieve -3 degrees of camber. Could you possibly specify what exactly
Just what exactly
needs clearance?
Yeah, I think they just...
Thanks, B9 uppers. Yeah, so there's a shock mount casting that requires, there's a little nub on it that you would want to sand off or grind off. It's gonna vary depending on what wheels you're running and your tires and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it should be hopefully fairly obvious once you get it all together and,
Yeah.
and you're getting in there and adjusting things. What that
Also,
looks like to be.
how low the car is really affects the camber as well. Someone has commented that they're running our E85 Stage 2 tune on a B9 S4, and it had about 80,000 miles, and they recently, their engine was damaged, and one of the pistons cracked in half. Is this something you have seen before? Yes, this motive failure with the piston, and I'm going to guess that the crack is parallel to the wrist pin, the piston wrist pin. I wouldn't say it's super common, but we've seen it before. I think we have 3 or 4 documented cases of it, maybe. This could be another one if you've already contacted us, then it would be included in that. Now keep in mind, this is out of many thousands of tuned motors. It's maybe 4. I gotta look. We have a system that we're tracking any kind of engine failures. We track very carefully, and we seek out as much information and data. In some cases, we even ship the customer's motor to us so we can inspect it, because we haven't seen this failure here at 034 in any of our testing. We've been told, and we've seen this on threads of factory techs saying that they're seeing these cracked piston failures on factory stock vehicles. So I don't. Again, it's not really common. It's really sucky, and I'm sorry this happened to you. But it is a very distinct crack where there doesn't look like there's any heat anywhere else in the piston. The piston ringlands, which are the most heat sensitive part of the piston, are completely intact. No signs of melting. No signs of pitting. So what happens is when you have a tuning problem and there's excessive pre-detonation, is the EGTs get so hot that it actually starts to melt the piston material and the aluminum becomes soft. So if you had like a titanium finger, you could kind of dig your fingernail into it, almost like if it was clay. And so as combustion happens, little bits of the piston just kind of blow apart off the top of the piston, and that is typically seen as this like small pitting.
Yeah, you'll usually see it on the plugs too. You'll see
the plugs usually
residuals on the plugs.
The plugs often the first thing to go, but Nate's right. This aluminum vaporizes and it'll deposit on the spark plug because it's the coolest, it's a cool surface nearby. Imagine you unwrap a Hershey chocolate bar that's pristine, and then you add, it has sharp edges. You can read the lettering. It looks like how it's supposed to. But then you put that in the sun for a few minutes, and it starts to melt, and those edges are no longer sharp, and you can just tell. I mean, it looks like melted chocolate. So we're not seeing that on any of these cracked piston failures. We haven't seen that kind of failure on any motor that's been tuned by us. But it does appear that there's, in some cases, and currently it seems pretty rare, but more common than anyone would like, that these type of failures can happen. So anyways, yeah, sorry to hear about that. If you haven't contacted us, please do. We need as much information as we can. We're seeking to get these pistons so we can inspect them more closely. In some cases, we would ship your motor. Yep. If you're getting a new motor.
It's tough. Lots of guys want cores and stuff, so we've had a hard time getting any of these examples.
But, we'll even pay if it's whatever the core fee is. We need to see some of these motors because we have not been able to create these failures here on any local engines or, certainly not our in-house. And we have numerous in-house vehicles that we test on. I'm very naive to tuning, but I have a question. What is the difference between 034 Stage 1 and Integrated Engineering Stage 1? And are yours detectable by dealership? I have a 2022 Audi RS5. Well, it's like saying what's the difference between McDonald's hamburger and Burger King hamburger. They're two different tunes. They are different. We do our own calibration in-house, completely in-house. We don't buy any files or borrow anything from anybody. My understanding is Integrated Engineering does the same. So then you're left with, the kind of the tuning skills, the engineering skills and process that are used by both companies. The talent of the calibrators on optimizing all the myriad of variables to be safe and also create the most power. And also be smooth and drivable. So, we believe here at 034 that we do that better than anyone in the industry. And it's based on our extensive history and results tuning and calibrating these vehicles and others like them. But for the B9 RS5, we are the leading calibration and tuning company in this market. I don't think you will find a better, smoother, safer, more well-calibrated tune than what you can get from 034 Motorsport. It's up to you to kind of look at the data and the advertising. You can go out into the marketplace and talk to people. And we have a lot of clip outs from the past where we do deep dives into the tuning. So you may want to go look at our B9 deep dive clip out on the Uncut channel. We do currently hold the stock turbo record at a 10.68, which just shows how much power we're able to produce, from the calibration and still be completely safe with all factory safety systems in place. Anything you want to add to that? But you can't really say what the difference is.
Yeah, they're
like specific.
Yeah, we can't speak to whatever their philosophy is. We do, I want to say, more real world testing than anyone else I can think of as far as altitude, temperature, climate, racetrack. We're on the track a lot with these things, and just trying to push it beyond, as far beyond any normal use case as we can, just to know we've got that headroom and safety and testing done.
Yeah. So. If you have any questions, please let us know. Contact us.
Yeah. We're super fortunate here too. We do have the ability. We tune at sea level, and then we can drive to 10,000 feet in the same day.
That is a big thing. Is integrated engineering is at like about a mile of elevation. So they have created some kind of pressure system on their dyno to try to pressurize the factory airbox to make it seem like the engine's seeing sea level. There's no way they're actually duplicating what sea level is. We could go on and on, but don't want to get into like bad mouthing them.
I was just what we have available to us here just by location. We're very fortunate that we can rapidly develop and test and hit kind of a lot of extremes without much time in between.
Mm-hmm. Can I get someone in the chat to hit that thumbs up button to show a like? Woof woof from NorCal. All right, woof. We've been woofed.
Yeah, YouTube's annoying. You can't respond to like individual comments. You can just kind of
you just have to
throw a thumb up right then. But,
yep.
Yeah.
You guys should make a 034 motor safety and a 034 MILF shirt. Oh, I don't disagree with this. I'd like to know what is a 034 MILF?
Yeah, what exactly are we?
Is it a shirt for MILFs or is it?
I mean, MILFs can already wear a shirt.
There are some MILFs on.
Is there a separate like shopping department for? I don't know.
Yeah, I fully support MILFs. So any MILF shirt ideas, please send them through. We are a public facing company, so we have to have some modicum of decorum, but not too much. If at least 20% of the people aren't offended, then we're doing something wrong. Where are we on the development for the tuning app, Nate?
I don't know.
We'd like to know.
We get this. Yeah, this is a weekly question. We are obviously actively working on it. I can't say more until it's done.
No, it's being worked on.
We're in a really good place with it. I can say we're going to be doing a bunch of deployment testing this week.
Yeah.
So things are coming along very well. So with these apps, you're not bound to just like you create an app and give it to people. It's got to go through store verifications for both Google and Apple, and there's a bunch of hoops to jump through and whatnot to set up. So we're tackling a bunch of that this week. But nuts and bolts wise, the app's doing really well.
Yeah.
Bunch of RS5 questions today.
Yeah.
Hey guys, multiple people on IEs RS5 tune have been recording faster times with stage 1 60-foot and 0 to 60. Is it possible that your tune can go faster?
Yeah, we have the launch control is definitely a little softer, likely, and it is something we can dial up. It's a factor of trying to make a shoe fit everyone right now. So that's primarily in the it's
in the launch.
It's in the launch control. Yeah. That's the end of it.
It's not like they're making more power or anything after that. But if their launch control is delivering more power in the launch and you're not getting wheel spin, then it will result in faster times.
Yeah, we're trying to strike a balance of something that'll be consistent for 99.9% of the cars out there with a normal street setup.
Yeah, we do have the quarter mile record.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and we've
It's
got
not like our tune's slower.
no, and we've got advanced launch coming, which will let you go
Yes.
any kind of level of hit off the tires.
Advanced launch will be a game changer for that, and then you can set the launch as aggressive or as soft as you want.
Yep.
And if you're already on the tune, it'll be a free upgrade.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
free.
it's a free
for
advanced
anybody
launch will be free. Yep. Simon at TTE has said the current turbos have hit the wall in capacity. For future builds, full frame seems to be the only way. Are there full frames in the works for RS5? Okay, first off, I don't know what Simon said, but that's not true. That is not true. Full frame is not the only way. In fact, full frame is going to be a very difficult, expensive way to go. I think at some point full frame will make sense, but we're nowhere near the limit of what even the TTE 810 can do as a drop-in turbo. So there is more and bigger TTE turbos coming. Simon actually, I don't want to offend Simon Sharp, but he's not TTE. He's a dealer for TTE. He doesn't work for TTE. He's, I think the name of his business
TTE
is
Global.
Yeah, but it's like Sharp Developments or something like that.
Yeah.
He's not TTE. He makes himself look like it. Simon, I love you. Please don't take offense. But he is a dealer of TTE. He's not TTE. He knows a lot about TTE turbos, I'm sure.
Right.
But I talk directly to TTE, to the engineers at TTE, and we work closely with them. I really like saying TTE. But no, what I don't talk to Simon about TTE turbos because he's not an engineer at TTE. He's a distributor. So we work directly with the engineering team there at TTE, and
Are we
there's-
in like a sponsored spot? We're just trying to get all the.
there's more power coming. That's all I can say. And full frame is the answer to something.
Yeah.
If you want 1,200 horsepower, full frame is the answer. If you want 950, 1,000, we're going to be able to do that soon with drop-in turbos with no loss of power or detriment to anything. So, stay tuned. But
I guess it also really depends on what you mean by full frame turbo versus drop-in turbo. Yeah, if you're be able to take an off-the-shelf turbo and bolt it up to a set of manifolds or something versus a.
say it again.
It depends. That it's a muddy question too. What is a full frame turbo? Is it just the center cartridge, or is it the whole package from Garrett or from?
No, I mean a full frame turbo is you take a turbo off the shelf from Garrett, from Borg Warner, from whoever, Zona.
Yep.
And then you build manifold, the manifold adapters. It's going to be a little tricky, because there's two. So maybe you need a twin scroll turbine housing, and you got to kind of build a little manifold to connect all that. And then the downpipe connection is going to be different. The intake connection is going to be different. So all the stuff that you already have, for your A10 you're going to have to throw away if you go full frame. So.
Well, I guess that's what I'm getting at. Is you can do a full cartridge turbo and all that built into, an engineered set of housings that will basically drop in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that is. That's hybrid frame.
You're right.
Full hybrid.
Yep.
I don't know. But yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if that cartridge can, this is all hyperbole, but if that cartridge can bolt in to the factory configuration with whatever adapters are needed, then it's pretty much a hybrid.
Yeah.
But the hybrids for sure are the factory turbo that's been modified with higher flowing, turbine and compressor wheels. But I don't think the water oil connections are that big of a deal.
No, that would be
If you could just adapt
pretty
that stuff.
superficial.
But if you still have factory type housings, I think a full frame drop in turbo. Maybe
That's what I'm thinking.
I guess over the years we've called those drop in turbos.
Yep.
Would be a good next step. I don't think full frame. I think people will do full frame, and it maybe someone has.
Yeah.
But it's the biggest, most disruptive modification possible.
Yes.
So, and getting it to like, forget taking it to a dealership or doing
Yeah,
that. So
that's
you're
the whole
now
outside of
the floor base.
those windows.
Is meth injection safe to use on the 3.0 T B9 platform in terms of cooling, and can we do this on a 034 tune?
Meth injection is not. It's not a simple question. There's no just meth injection. It's always a some kit or some homebrewed solution, and we've never seen anything that has been reliable enough to lean on and trust. So if you want to, do something and use it, it's going to be very much something you're going to have to keep an eye on, and monitor and test. And I mean, the tune will be okay with it probably, depending on how much you're injecting.
The less you
where you're
inject,
injecting it.
the less you inject, the more power you'll make.
Well, that's generally the
Pretty
thing
much.
we've seen, but
Yeah.
it's a really tough thing to get equally distributed. Throughout the manifolds, especially you've got twin manifolds, they're coming in from both sides of the head, so to get an even dispersion of the mixture, it's really tricky on water meth stuff on any of these motors, and the 3.0 T in particular, just because it's diverged intake manifolds. Basically.
I'd suggest going back and watching any of our other water meth videos that we've done. We've talked about it so many times.
Yes, plenty of people use it. We do not. We don't. Yeah. Every time we've gone down that path, it's ended in disappointment for a number of reasons.
Well, I think it's oversold and overhyped
Very much so, yeah.
for what it does, and I feel like we're the only ones on the internet that say this. But the benefits just aren't as much as the companies that sell the stuff say it is, and I think that the people out there that use it doesn't really hurt anything too badly, but it's not giving them the benefit that they think. And I've seen very few end users go to the dyno, for example, and compare back to back with and without it. I don't think I've ever seen that. I'm sure it's got to be.
I've seen situations where it is compensated for a tune that wasn't optimized, where you're basically blasting the air intake temperature sensor, and you get evaporative cooling, and then you get a little more timing because of that.
I'm trying not to do the whole spiel like
Right.
we always do. So just go watch some of our older videos, or Sean link him to any of. There's got to be a dozen of them where we've talked about the water meth. Using water meth can make more power, but it's not because of the water meth. It's because you're tricking the ECU into giving the engine more timing when it shouldn't be getting more timing. But usually an engine will make more and more power with more timing until it blows up. It's kind of like, it's like meth for humans. Get really fun, really exciting, until you're like, all your teeth fall out and your head explodes. Will there ever be support for lower E-blends like E30 to E50, and will flex fuel ever be a thing on this platform for B9?
If in one flex fuel becomes a thing, that is something we've been talking about for a while, then yeah, you'll be able to blend from 0 up to 85. So, whether we're going to be doing specific split blends like that, I don't know.
It doesn't seem to be a reason. I mean, we already have the 60.
Yeah, going lower was reducing the octane impact enough that we really wanted to settle in at E60.
Yeah. I think for B8s, because of
they have much lower cylinder pressures.
the way
fixed supercharger
the way the
system.
torque curve works on those, you don't need E60.
It's a lower compression, whether it's a lower cylinder pressure, but situation.
But a B9 can produce twice as much torque at 3,000 RPM than a B8. So the fuel demand skyrockets, and that's why, and the the need for octane skyrockets.
Yep.
So technically speaking, did I miss the summer sale, or is it forthcoming? Well, we don't ever talk about our sales before they happen, but we have not had a summer sale yet. You didn't miss it. But we do currently have a some live sales. So if you go on our site, we have about, 30, 40 products on sale, which is still a remnant of our Winterfest sale. These are products that we have inventory levels that are higher than we'd like, and so we're lowering the pricing to move those out. Once those quantities drop down to a suitable supply, we turn them off the sale. But Lots of stuff on the site on sale for that. And then currently, all TTE turbos are 10% off. So if you're an RS5 guy, now's the time to jump in, or a S4 guy, or any other kind of guy or gal. And then we have 10% off all Stage 3 B9 tunes, again, to go with those TTE turbos. And currently all MQB Evo tunes, so anything like Mark 8, Golf R S3,
Yep.
those are all 10% off as well. Okay, so jump on any of those things if you'd like. Otherwise,
Has that been released, Sean?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, and we did just release the stage 2 S3
Yeah,
Golf R.
okay,
Might as well lead into that.
let's just talk about that. We did today release our Stage 2 MQB Evo Golf R S3 tuning. Very exciting development for those looking for a little bit more power and efficiency for racing use. You want to go over the numbers now? I don't know if we need to talk about all of them.
No, I mean, we spoke to this before. It's not a huge bump from stage 1. I think we were about... it depends where you're at in the power band. Torque's going to be the biggest thing because it's just out of turbo at the top end. So there's some points where we're up almost 20 foot-pounds of torque here and there. Yeah, I mean, we're up to 455 crank on E85 up from 449. But the mid-range, you're getting 431 versus 418 torque. So it's certainly a bump in power there. And then low torque files are all available. Those are going to be the same output as stage 1 just because it's capped and the turbo's just going to ride that amount of torque we're asking for.
The low torque is the low torque, so it's not like there's lower torque.
More low torque, yeah.
Yeah, it's limited, it's capped. So whether it's stage 1 or stage 2, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The limit is a function of the drivetrain and the torque holding capacity of the factory clutch / clutches. So they're the same because it's being limited.
Yep.
But yeah, what we're seeing here is that the factory catalytic converters are flowing very good, surprisingly enough. You'd think as the emission requirements got more strict that the catalytic converters would become more restrictive, and we haven't seen that.
No, they've been upsizing them a ton too. I mean, the catalyst bricks now are
they're
so much bigger than they used to be. So your cross sections gotten a lot better.
And the cats, there used to be these pre-cat, really restrictive pre-cat bricks in front of the main cat. We're not seeing that as much anymore either.
Yeah, the heating strategies got better, so they can get rid of all that. So
the performance of the factory cats have improved. Honestly, I recommend staying stage 1 if you can. The benefits of stage 2 are really small compared to what they used to be, say going back to like the 1AT days. God forbid you have an A4 1AT or you like jumped back to that.
It was a big difference last night, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when the cat crumbles and falls into like a puddle of itself.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. So, it's the interesting thing is, as an aside, as the technology gets better, it can deal with the laws and rules and regulations better too. So I think if you talked to anyone in the performance industry 20 years ago, and I was in this industry 20 years ago, there was a lot of doom and gloom about, oh my God, we're not going to be able to make any power. California is so terrible. Blah 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 blah. Now you have 600 horsepower B9 S4s, on stock cats. So it's the technology improves along with the rules and restrictions. The result is way faster cars, much cleaner running cars. So it's a good thing. Humans are really good at like solving these kind of problems after we fuck it up really bad.
Yeah. Well,
but thankfully, there's enough people that are like, we can do this. We can figure it out. We can innovate past these restrictions.
a lot of it comes down to too. It's all towards the same goal of efficiency. I mean, they're trying to hit these mile per gallon targets now, and they've got to hit competitive horsepower numbers. So all that equates to more efficient, better flowing.
Yeah.
Better operating components.
It helps all around. The technology that helps the motors run cleaner also helps the motors make more power. So this variable, cam and valve technology, it helps the engines run really clean, really efficiently. But it also allows the adjustability to make it run in a way that makes a lot more power as well. So all this innovation counts towards faster cars and cleaner air. So it's a really good thing. We do make the Stage 2 files available because people request them, and there's some racing use out there, but the power is just, there's just no need to get rid of the factory cat. You're talking about just a very small difference. So if you have any follow-up questions, throw them in here. We still got a half an hour here. Is there a specific product you have that's just been sitting on the shelf for years? If so, what is it? Well,
What was the terrible mistake?
We used to have a salesman who swore that we needed a silicone breather hose for a 180 Beetle.
I was just going to say the Beetle hose.
And so, and he supposedly had all these dealers lined up that were going to buy them, and all the Beetles needed this hose. And so I said, why not? So we did it. And I think we got like 500 hoses in stock, and those have just sat on the shelf. I think we sell like a couple a year, and I've never heard the end of it from everyone on the op side. It's just turned into this like long running joke about the Beetle hose. In general, we don't have a lot of products that are slow moving.
We try not to. We've gotten better. It's a really hard thing to gauge. We always struggle with this, and still we're always trying to refine it, is what are our, purchasing quantities going to be for given products, and how, a lot of the times we're innovating a product for the market, or, it's something that's new to market, so you don't really have a history to lean on.
Yeah.
It's tough to balance.
If we did, you would see us putting them on sale and trying to clear them out. One thing that does happen though is all these markets have a kind of a bell-shaped curved life cycle. The cars come out, they're brand new, you release products, and the sales ramp up. It's probably not bell-shaped curve. It's probably more like it ramps up really quick, and then it kind of trails off over time. But we currently have 200-300 part numbers in stock that are kind of old i5 parts, vintage Audi parts, B5, B6, B7 stuff. That stuff has really slowed down in the last few years. We still sell a lot of that stuff. I still always say we sell more i5 parts than anybody in the world by far.
Some of the billet parts too.
Yeah, but that kind of stuff sits around longer, and then the challenge is we have to kind of discontinue it before it sits around too long. So
sorry guys, I just noticed we were capping pretty hard on the mic. So
and then people yell at us for not supporting those platforms, and it's like, well, we discontinued a part that 3 people last year wanted. We just can't afford to invest another $10,000 in a product that 3 people a year buy. So anyways, good question, thank you for that. Recommended suspension mounts, inserts for tuned power levels, upgraded drive shaft carrier. We talked about the drive shaft carrier last week.
I feel like we haven't talked about that in a very long time. In all of this last 2 weeks, we've had questions.
You could have a 5,000 horsepower Audi B9 S4, and the stock drive shaft carrier will work fine as long as the drive shaft is able to hold that power. So there's really the only time you do anything with a drive shaft carrier is when it fails. The factory rubber disintegrates, cracks, rips. The bearing, which rarely does, but the bearing fails, then you need a repair option. So we sell a whole line of OE replacement drive shaft carriers that are OEM quality or better. But as far as performance upgrade, there's no need for that. But I think as far as our inserts and mounts would work great on a stock car, just as far as improving the responsiveness of the drivability and the drivetrain performance. As you make more power, there's more load on the drivetrain, so having that reduction in compliance in the drivetrain is benefit. But in general, this is something that you would want to do right off the bat. Now we do make a line of motorsport mounts, which are substantially stronger than factory mounts. We haven't released them for the B9 yet, but it's coming. But for the time being, our density mounts, our street density mounts for the B9 S4 are more than strong enough to hold all the power levels. They're just going to improve that responsiveness. When you get on the throttle, you're going to feel the power sooner instead of squishing up the factory mounts. What type of expectations are you guys looking at for the B8 3.0T with combining 0 through 4 bolt-ons and internals, hardware, cams, rods, head studs with the Merc MR 1900 blower compared to Stage 2 Plus cars?
We will find out. So that's
We don't know yet.
yeah. We can speculate. I mean, it's a much larger blower with a much it should be.
We should see
substantial.
20 to 30% higher power numbers easily with it. But
It's gonna we're working on a number of solutions to complement it, so you can actually extract that. So fueling is a big thing right now. We are working on some pretty cool stuff.
yeah.
So yep, there should be a lot. There's lots of work going on in the B8 and B9 worlds right now.
I would say as far as expectations, be very optimistic and excited, but we can't say until
Yeah,
we know.
we do. It's until you try it all out, get it on there, really test it.
Installed B9 rear sway bar first, then lowered it using your springs. Love both. Are the OEM end links introducing added load to the rear sway bar due to lowered suspension, or is it okay as is? No. So the way a sway bar works, which you may have noticed, is once installed, the sway bar will swing freely on the sway bar bushings, right? So even if you lower the car, if you have different length end links, the sway bar can accommodate it, right? Now, of course, there's a limit because if the end links are too long or too short, then something will hit. But our end links aren't any longer or shorter than the factory end links. So if you lower the car, the sway bar will just pivot, right? The advantage of our end links is they're stronger, and in most cases they're adjustable. So you can remove any preload. You may have noticed when you're installing the bar, if you had to kind of load up one side or the other to get the end link in the sway bar hole, that's something you want to prevent, and so you can change the length. But if you're happy with how things are driving and performing right now, that's great. At some point, you will probably have a factory end link fail or break, which it's not great. If you're like in a corner loaded up and that breaks, it can unsettle the car, but it's not like catastrophic failure or anything. So I would recommend doing the end links when you'd like.
Yep.
What does heat soak feel like in the B8.5 vehicles? Well, it feels the same in every car.
Feels like slowness. The B8.5.
I think real quick. I think a good way to describe it is it just like feels like you just drove into mud or something. Just kind of like the motor's making the sounds. Your foot's all the way down. So go ahead.
Yep. And on the B9 in particular, if you've got an intake, and most of them do, you'll audibly hear it start to relieve. Basically, start bypassing the supercharger
On the B8s.
On the B8s.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, driving in mud or molasses, it's just the feeling of an engine running really hot.
Yep.
Is there really enough demand for that blower to dedicate resource to tuning versus, say, like cars without any tunes? That's a question we're always asking ourselves.
We have to balance those questions on literally every project we try and work on.
Usually, part of the decision-making process isn't kind of as black and white or binary of either do it or don't do it. So it's kind of the idea of like reconnaissance. Like we can go in and spend a little bit of time looking, evaluating without spending all the time. So the question really becomes, if we know something's going to take like 100 hours, can we dedicate 5 hours into evaluating it to get a substantial increase in understanding of how valuable it will be? And so as an engineering and testing company, we employ those type of tactics where it's like, okay, well, I don't know if we want to spend the full 100 hours, but let's put 5 hours and find out more about what this modification can do or what the potential is. And with that, substantial increase in information, we can better make a decision. In some cases, we might spend that 5 hours and say it's just not worth it. The power isn't there. Or after 5 hours, the calibrator may come back and be like, holy shit, this thing flows a lot more. If we can get it the fuel, it's going to make like 50% more power. Then it's like, okay, it's worth it. You know, because everyone in B8 is looking for more power. So that's where we're at. And we're doing that type of thinking on different levels, on dozens and dozens of different product ideas and projects.
And the cars without tune question too. I don't know which vehicle or platform you're talking about specifically.
I mean,
but
there's a lot.
There's a lot, and a lot of it comes down to market demand for those cars, you know, per se, and how many we might move to also balance that. So yeah, we may be missing a target here and there, but it might also be, you know, hundreds of hours put into something we sell 10 of a year, 5 of a year.
Yeah, and the thing is, like with the BA project, we have everything we need to do it.
Yeah,
Just
it's a known
ECU
quantity.
is
That's the other
unlocked, and we know we can do it now. With some, you know, some other car that we haven't tuned, if that ECU isn't accessible, then there's really not much we can do. So, but once those ECUs become unlocked, they become part of the conversation about what we can and can't do. So it's not quite as simple as saying, well, what are all the cars that don't have tunes and can we do this? Some of those, they're just not available. They're not an option right now, really. But that's a great question, and again, that's something that we're constantly thinking about. We have to, because we can't just go about all this blindly.
No, yeah, and we have limited resources, just like everyone does. So we have to direct them as efficiently as we can.
Generally, how do you decide what development happens on cars?
There we go.
Do you test a failure?
There's a couple different questions here, yeah.
Do you test a failure? Love okay for...
I think it leave. Probably look for headroom. Or
Well, we do put a lot of love into our products.
We do.
Just making sure.
love and care.
Leave room for headroom. What platforms have surprised you the most? A lot of questions there. As far as what development happens on cars, we have some pretty standardized development processes and tactics that we use on every new product we develop. We have to decide how much testing is needed. We don't always test a failure, although we do test in a way that could cause failure. And if it doesn't, we test for long enough to know that the lack of failure is a reliable place to be. Yeah. It would be nice to be able to always do destructive testing.
Yeah, destructive testing is hard too. Well,
it's
obviously
expensive.
hard. It's expensive, that's one thing, but when you get to that point of destruction, you got to make sure all of your variables are contained and you know why something failed. There's certainly some outliers that can send you down a very wrong path and give you a false sense of understanding of the situation. So it's a long and evolving process with everything.
Yeah. But if we test a tune on a motor and we have thousands of hours without failure, we don't need to test that to failure.
Yeah, we're not going to drive a stage 1 file, for example, to failure on every situation or anything like that.
But in some cases, we have tested in-house cars to failure, and it was not intentional, but it was a very valuable data point that we were able to gain a lot of insight on. It's kind of like, I don't know, in the 1800s, like nobody wanted anyone to die, but if somebody died, they just cut them open and started looking around inside.
What's going on in there?
Just to learn, So, what were some of the other questions?
It's gone now. How much headroom do we leave? Or how do we leave headroom?
The headroom is somewhat determined by, say, the fuel system capacity, and on these motors, we need to stay within the fuel system capacity. Once we are, and the engine operates reliably for as long as we determine it needs to, then that's enough headroom.
That's certainly one of the metrics. It's going to be dependent on what octane fuel it's being designed for. We obviously don't run to the ragged edge of what we can for every last half a degree of timing. Mm-hmm. We got to leave some buffer in there because fuel qualities and engines and every engine operates a little bit differently.
And we also collect data that you guys don't see, like EGTs and exhaust manifold pressure. data that informs us that the engine is operating in a safe way, because the result of combustion is not only the air fuel ratio that comes out, but heat that's generated, and there are acceptable heat levels, there are acceptable exhaust manifold pressure levels, and there's air fuel ratios as well, and all this can be correlated to the safety and health of the engine. But ultimately, we do as much testing as we need to feel comfortable that this is a reliable tune. We do it in different testing conditions with different drivers, on track, on the streets, high elevation, low elevation, cool weather, hot weather.
Yeah, we try and cover all our bases.
Yeah, most of our tunes, have been to Death Valley, the drive out to Las Vegas. We have Tahoe here, which is 7,000-8,000 feet. Within a couple hours, you can be over a mile high from sea level. So we're in a great spot to do this kind of testing and tuning, and we're in the most strict regulatory environment in the U.S., which has only made us better. So, great question. Are you releasing rods and pistons for the B8, B8.5 S4s? Well, we already have rods on the website, and we're thinking about pistons, but it doesn't really seem to be as big of a need on the B8. But I think customers have been asking for it, so it is something we're working on. And we are coming out with pistons for the B9 as well, because that we're seeing these piston cracking failures, which we saw in the B8 too.
To some extent, yeah.
Yeah, is again very rare, but it did happen. Is the flash counter cleared when flashing back to stock?
It depends on the application. The CMOS 18s, MG1, what are the ones off the top of my head? Some of the MED 17 stuff certainly is. So yeah, it's application dependent. But when we have it set up, we're setting it up on more and more systems currently. But those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head where it's done.
Mm-hmm. Anything new coming to B9 RS5? Yes, lots of stuff. We have a whole super duper intake coming, which includes the turbo inlet, the twin turbo inlets, all the way back to our super duper inlet, which is going to be rated for 1,000 plus horsepower. We actually have some brand new RS5 specific dynamic plus springs coming. Up till now, we've been listing the RS5 as an application for the B9 S4.
Only.
RS5 coupe.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, do we even have it? Is there a sport back here?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, there is. It's pretty rare though. The RS5 coupe dynamic plus springs, they're specifically designed for the RS5 coupe, and our testing is very positive. They ride and handle better than the current springs. The current springs work great, but these will be further optimized even more. And I think there'll be even more coming for the RS5 in the future. B9 S5 has injector failure or running injectors past their range limits been a topic at all, or just forum talk? Seen a lot of stock and tuned cars with similar related issues.
There is a member who keeps saying over and over about injector duty cycles being over 100%.
Which is totally baseless.
That comment is never qualified in any way and is always forgetting the major point where duty cycle is a factor of engine RPM, because it's a frequency and then how long something is open. So you've got a certain frequency and you've got a certain period of time within that frequency to open up or complete your event. That's a linear relationship to RPM. So you can run much longer injection pulses at lower RPMs and be way under what duty cycle wise, way under what you would be at a 7,000 RPM.
Yeah.
For say with a much smaller injection window. So there's a lot that goes into, well, it's not a lot, it's just some basic math, but that conversation is very muddied from everything I've seen on most of the forum posts. So
yeah, it's kind of this manufactured, I think this person who's propagated the injected duty cycle comments, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's It's kind of like the fake news spreading false information about your opponent's thing online. But it's a way to cast doubt or sow manufactured concern about something that doesn't really exist, but all of a sudden everyone's talking about it and worried about it, but you're the only one who's not doing it. And this individual is dealing with the same mechanical and physical time constraints that we are, that everyone is. So running injectors and maximizing the duty cycle is a strategy that everyone is using right now, including this individual. But he's working to demonize this kind of manufactured point so that he can have a place in the market instead of just going out and selling his products and services based on their own merits.
Yeah, and it's based on some, at least from what I've seen, some very anecdotal assumptions, I guess you could say. So and with a sample set that is much smaller than any of the other companies out there.
But like a lot of this kind of like fake news stuff, it's based on some truth, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can certainly drive things too far, but
let me just explain. Yeah. It's based on some truth. The truth is that in the B9 world, there is a reliability problem with injectors. Now, this individual has taken that further and said, "Oh, the reason the injectors are failing is because of what 034 is doing," and then makes up a reason. But injectors are failing on stock vehicles. They're failing on his tunes, on competitor tunes. They're failing on all the cars, and it's because there's a reliability issue with the injectors themselves, not because of how we're calibrating the injectors is causing them to fail. So, but it gets traction because injectors are failing. And so now everyone wants to know, why is injectors failing? And then he offers a reason. The reason happens to put him in a very good light and falsely attack, someone else. But, we don't necessarily have a solution for the factory injector failure problem. It's not a huge problem. It's not like every injector is failing. But it's happening enough that it's annoying and it's causing some issues. It's not great for engine health or longevity. We could certainly attribute some engine failures to it. The last thing you want is your fuel injector to start injecting half as much fuel as it's supposed to. That's just a recipe for disaster. So,
and these injectors, as with any injector that's been come along recently, have been through multiple factory revisions.
Yep.
There's a reason there are like hundreds or thousands in stock across the world, the U.S. or the world. So it's not a it's a complex, high tolerance part that is not foolproof.
Yeah, but what I appreciated about the question is it seemed to have some healthy skepticism as to some of these assertions. Not the first time we've addressed it here, but. And unfortunately, this particular individual, it's not the first time they've done this, and there will be more bullshit coming from them, I'm sure. In fact, they released some bullshit about us like 2 weeks ago that we had to address on here. So it's just one thing after the other. But yeah, I think you can connect the dots and see that there's a track record of them basically lying and creating false information.
Maybe stand on your own laurels and do your own thing.
Yeah. Who's Dotson 107?
I saw that come through on Instagram.
I don't know.
Is that him?
He's being all spicy.
It's probably
No.
Friday live streams feel better. How do you feel about it? Or is Monday live streams returning? I don't know if I'd say it feels better or worse.
It does for me. But
worse?
Better.
Why?
Just because I don't have everything I'm dealing with Monday when I come in.
Oh.
All the weekend stuff.
Well, I didn't know that. We could start doing them Friday, especially if people like it better or we get more viewership.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know if we haven't really looked at the metrics between the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, maybe
it's tough to know when it settles out too, because people expect it on Monday. So.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I like doing them whatever day we do them.
Yeah,
it's a chance for us to represent ourselves and answer questions and be helpful, hopefully, and spread some truth and out into the world. So currently installing JHM's high flow cat test pipe downpipe setup on my B8.5 S4. Does your tune throw a check engine light with them? Which tune should I run?
Yeah, if it's not the stock or the factory cat, chances are very good you're going to see a check engine light. We do have test pipe files for all of those if you're racing the car.
For racing use
that
only.
will remove that.
Yeah. There's probably some combination of O2 spacers out there that could do that. Again, we don't sell those,
No.
but for racing use, those are legal. Very legal for street use.
Yes.
Tell Eric he's a smexy beast for getting me the TCU tune I ordered
Eric.
to me the same day, even though I ordered it late. And we'll be sure to...
Pass it along.
I don't know what
Sean will give
a
him a big
smexy
hug for
beast
you.
is.
I think Javad should give him a big hug.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just pick them up and twirl them around.
Let me know when you're going to do that.
Yeah. Any plans to venture into mods for other manufacturers? We're currently doing new products for BMW. It's tough. As soon as we go outside of Volkswagen Audi, it's an uphill battle. So, and there's so much to do in Volkswagen Audi that
Yeah, I mean,
there's no end to the opportunity for us.
We'd love to spread the 034 ethos across multiple platforms. It's such a monumental amount of product still we're working on with Volkswagen Audi. So.
Yeah. Someone says, I'm sorry, but you guys suck. Well, thank you. Please let us know why.
It's how we breathe.
We really need to know why we suck.
Yeah.
It's very helpful to know that. Otherwise, it just seems like a hollow insult.
Or sarcasm. Maybe things are great.
Yeah, maybe. I do like a good suck. Nothing wrong with that.
Some good TT hybrids, maybe a pair of twins.
Yeah.
Good suck.
Oh, yeah. Turbos suck real hard.
They also blow.
When are no crackle files coming? Well,
As we tackle them.
does that mean that do they know that they can email us?
No, we have
Yes,
quite a
these are
number
already-
in our incoming box.
As we've discussed, they're being prioritized with everything else. They're not a top priority, but we are working on it and getting them out.
It's one of those things where it's a very cosmetic
Yeah.
thing. You can already turn your crackles off on all of the B9 cars. So we're getting to them.
Is there a chance that we will see tuning for 180 Gen 3 cars, primarily 2015 plus Golf, Sportwagen, and Alltrack?
We've had so little
It's
requests.
that's a low priority for us,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
No, there's a lot more I want to do with the 2-liter first before
Yeah.
we get back to the 1.8.
Any 034 events planned in SoCal? Not that I know of for the rest of this year. We're not doing big SoCal.
Yeah, nothing lined up.
We've been doing big SoCal Euro for the last few years, but we're seeing a lot of success just staying here at home. And,
Doing things.
so that's tough because when you go out to an event, it's great. You get to meet all the people and do all that, but then you're not dealing with all the people who are already your customers back at home. So I think we're skipping that one for this year. Yeah, sorry about that. Any plans for the C8 RS6 7 tunes? Yeah, it's on our list. We will do them. We will do them eventually.
Yes, it is on our radar. It's another one of those we talk about. Yeah, just number of cars on the market.
Yeah,
accessibility to tuning them.
it's a small market compared to other stuff we're doing. So, good point. If you would like to have a Southern California event, and you can't, then drive up on August 12th to 034 Motorsports Summerfest. I will be cooking and barbecuing. There will be a car show.
Ooh, is this tri-tip time?
Yeah, tri-tip. You can come hang out. Do a drive with a bunch of your friends, and you can come park in our parking lot and engage with hundreds and hundreds of other enthusiasts. We have factory tour, facility tours. dyno exhibitions. So yeah, it's always a great time, and there's lots to do in the Bay Area too.
Yeah. Yep.
You can drive right up the 5 to get
The
here.
5 or the 101 if you want to.
The 101 if you want to
see
take a
the
scenic route, or
99 if you just want.
the 99 if you
Valley
just,
for no reason.
if you just hate yourself.
The 99 has E85 halfway through. So.
It does. Yeah.
No, that's good. The 5 is bad enough. All right, I think that's all the time we have for today. So thank you for joining us on a Friday.
Probably.
And we will see you guys maybe
Sometime next week.
maybe we'll do next Friday again. We'll see. All right. Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Mm-hmm. Can't throw right.